about it. This is weird.
From the land of conjurers, flying through the internet to your device like a UAP, hauntingly unexplained and downright weird, this is the Witching Hours, and we are ready to take off in the flash of an eye. Good evening to one and all, wherever or whenever you are listening to this program. I am John the Frost, and joining me, as always, is the medium Jenny Lee. How are you doing, Jenny?
I think that I'm okay. How are you?
Yeah, well, we made it through this first go, official go. Like all my muscle memory is, it's all new.
Yeah. I'm having
So
to get used to seeing chat over here instead of over there. Yeah.
I haven't been like this nervous for a show in like probably over a year. Like, I know we've done it, 61 times before.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
got it. I
Mhm.
got it. But tonight I'm like kind of like, oh man, okay, I gotta hit this button. Yeah, I gotta hit that button. So off we go. Hopefully everything is coming through wonderfully and clear to all of you wonderful people hanging out with us in chat tonight. Welcome in, everyone. All of Team Weird. Welcome in. Welcome in. I see Luce is hanging out over on YouTube. And well, it looks like Keisha is too. So we got our people over on YouTube. This is the first time we're streaming live with a show, with an episode over on YouTube. So just more ways for people to come and join the conversation. All right.
Yeah.
So we got a good show for you tonight, and I think we're going to have some things to give away at the end of the show. So if you can hang in there all the way to the 10 o'clock hour, maybe you can get you something in the mail. We'll talk more about that later. Are you ready to get into some news, Jenny?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's hit the thing. Okay. So the weird news. I just saw this one and was actually talking with it about some people today. Orcas sink another yacht off the coast of Gibraltar. Orcas have once again attacked and sunk a boat near the Strait of Gibraltar, a behavior that has scientists stumped. A group of the highly social marine mammals, also called killer whales, attacked and sank a 50-foot-long sailing yacht on Sunday.
Wow.
The New York Times reported 2 people had to be rescued from the waters near the Strait of Gibraltar. The incident was yet another in a startling spate of such attacks by orcas in the area since 2020, an apparently emerging phenomenon that has researchers stumped. It is a rare behavior that only been detected in this part of the world, said Alfredo Lopez, an orca researcher at the Atlantic Orca Working Group, in an interview with Scientific American last year. It is in more than 500 cases, they have documented of orcas reacting to boats. Most often, the animals have only approached the vessels, but in a fraction of reports that have included physical interaction, the orcas have usually bit at vessel rudders. The attacks have usually lasted less than 30 minutes, but some have gone for up to 2 hours.
Wow.
So far, there's a couple hypotheses that are going on there, but yeah, it's not the first attack, and this yacht sinks. They have to rescue the people on board.
That's the animal that our littlest child had to do a project on just recently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well,
I
don't know. I thought that was surprising.
I saw another article that about something similar about how it seems like they're getting more aggressive, but maybe it's just in that specific place.
Yeah, down there in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
So there we go. So interesting. If you guys see anything more about it, we'll, put it in Discord, and if there's any more, we'll put you in there. Different behavior for sure that's happening there. Second story tonight is scientists use supercomputer to find out when humanity will perish. Researchers have used a supercomputer to predict when not only humanity will come to an end, but also all mammals currently living on land.
Okay.
The researchers penned a study published in the scientific journal Nature Geoscience, where they explain that compiling factors such as solar radiation and landmass configurations can lead to a prediction of when all landmass mammalian life will be eradicated from the surface of the earth. The team found that in just a mere 250 million years, Earth's tectonic plates will converge to form Earth's next supercontinent, Pangea Ultima. The scientists write the creation and decay of Pangea Ultima will produce extreme levels of CO2, particularly from volcanic rifting and outgassing. The intense levels of CO2 in Earth's atmosphere combined with the heat of the sun will make Earth unstable to sustain many forms of landmass life. Within these kinds of conditions, humanity won't be able to grow any food, with the supercomputer finding that the temperatures would increase between 40 and 50 degrees Celsius, which is
Mm.
approximately 104 to 122 degrees in freedom units.
Mm.
So, I mean, I don't
But
think we need to start packing up or anything. We got
but
a while.
but I mean, haven't we learned anything from studying the history of this planet that things could change like in a hot second or a cold second?
Well,
You
I think
know?
I think for some, this would be a conservative estimate of essentially this article is just saying when a new Pangea will form.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think there's more dangerous things on the on the horizon than necessarily the 250 million years. But this is
Mhm.
the first time I'd heard of it. I'd hit the news waves this week. Scientists discover a phonetic alphabet used by sperm whales, moving one step closer to decoding their chatter. I think you put that one in a
Yes,
news
that
thing
was
there.
our wasn't that our practice run at the news? It was the first
Yeah,
time I got to do the news, was our
yeah,
practice run.
yeah. So we talked
I'm
about
really
that.
excited about that.
Yeah, highly social creatures. They've used AI to determine the fact that they have the building blocks of a language in there, and now they're using the AI to try to figure out, well, what their language means, like trying to develop some kind of Rosetta Stone for sperm whale. So that was in the news that we did last week. I thought we'd bring it up since we have a recorded episode here of it.
Yes, I'm so excited about it.
Now
Let's talk to the critters.
yeah. Yeah, here's an interesting one. A dentist found an ancient human jawbone embedded in his parents' tile floor. A,
Okay, wait a minute, what? A dentist finds
a
it?
dentist, yeah, a dentist was visiting his parents' newly renovated home in Europe when he noticed something odd.
Of all the
One, of-
people to find a jawbone in somebody's floor, he happens to be a
well,
dentist.
yeah, well, you see why. I think one of the floor tiles in the corridor leading to a terrace held what looked like a human mandible, sliced through at an angle, including a cross section of a few teeth.
Wow.
Not knowing exactly what steps to take, the dentist posted a photo of the discovery on Reddit. The internet exploded with enthusiasm, interest, and ick. It's not so much the teeth that I noticed, but the shape of the mandible that is very recognizable. The dentist, known as, well, it has a Reddit name there, wrote in an email. He spoke on the condition of not anonymity to protect his family's privacy. He pointed out that the object in the tile bears a striking similarity to a slice of an image taken from a CT scan used in dentistry. As I am
Well, yeah.
specialized in implant dentistry, I worked with this kind of image every day and it looked very familiar. The tile, made of
Mm.
limestone called travertine, was imported from a quarry in Turkey.
I know travertine.
Scientists are now working with the dentist to make sure the tile is properly studied, along with a few other suspicious looking tiles installed in the house. While this all may seem quite shocking, paleoanthropologists were both fascinated and a little surprised. Travertine can form quickly, but the stones used for commercial purposes tend to come from deposits that have formed over hundreds or thousands of years, ruling out a recent death. This tile came from a quarry in Denzili Basin in western Turkey, where the stone has previously been dated to 1.8 million to zero point 0.7 million years ago. A professor at Pamukkale University in Turkey, who is part of the scientific team that plans to study the mandible. And so this is
Mm.
ancient man that is in this
Wow.
tile here. Hmm.
That's a fancy floor they got there.
Yeah, and actually, I think Keisha had posted that in our Discord. So if you want to go take a look at it, you can over there.
I think I
It's
did
pretty
see the
interesting.
picture of it,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and at first you might not notice if it was just with all the
I
other
guess
tiles
that's
around
why
it.
it took the dentist to see it.
Yeah, it took the dentist. And the last story for tonight is a Utah cat found in Amazon warehouse a week after sneaking into a return box.
Oh, yes, this
Yeah.
story.
A Utah couple were perplexed when one day their shy cat Galena suddenly disappeared, and then she was found in an Amazon warehouse all the way in California.
Mm,
The cat
poor
mysteriously went
baby.
missing on April 10th, but her owners couldn't figure out how the indoor cat could disappear without a trace. Carrie Clark told NBC affiliate a week later the couple got a notification that the microchip had been scanned and they were soon on a call with the vet in Los Angeles. The
Wow.
cat survived for 6 days without food or water after she was
Oh,
accidentally shipped out with an Amazon return.
poor baby.
I ran to tell my husband that Galena was found, and we broke down upon realizing that she must have jumped into an oversized box that we shipped out the previous Wednesday.
My
The indoor
goodness.
cat
Cats,
has a penchant for playing in boxes, according to Clark, and is
like most
particularly
cats.
skilled at hiding. Yes. So they have the cat. The cat's been brought home, and the cat is healthy and fine, and went through all the proper blood tests and all that. So
Wow. What an
good to go.
adventure that cat went on.
Yeah, getting shipped across the country.
Yes. I think CMC's gone to something there. Surprised they don't find more cats in return boxes.
That's actually, yeah.
It seems like
actually is
something that
kinda
would happen
surprising.
a lot
I mean,
more
that's
than
the first.
once.
Well, when we get our packages from Amazon and we open it up and pull out the contents, that's typically where our cat goes, is right into the
Exactly.
box.
Yes. Yeah.
So if you win the giveaway tonight for the merch, make sure when you open it to be careful that Runa's not inside when you get the package. All right. So
Ay.
that was the weird news tonight.
Good stories. Good stories.
All right. So here we go, everybody. A certified tarot master, psychic medium, teacher, and ordained minister, Corbie Mitleid, has been reading for 50 years and is a full-time intuitive counselor with clients worldwide. As an author, her self-help volume, Clean Out Your Life Closet, encourages you to write your own story of change based on your history, your life experiences, and your personal goals. Her books, The Psychic Yellow Brick Road and You've Got the Magic, Who Needs a Genie, deal with how to use psychic counseling wisely and be a successful part of the holistic expo community from the professional side of the aisle. Corbie's abilities include tarot and oracle readings, spiritual intuitive counseling, past life retrieval and analysis, mediumship, and spirit guide conferences. Please welcome to the program, everybody, Corbie Mitleid. How are you doing, Corbie?
Rocking and rolling, my man. How are you?
Excellent. All right. Well, it's nice to have you on.
I agree with what Keisha said. 50 years.
Okay. I am just a few months away from 70. However, 2 magic words: no children. Takes 10 years off your looks right there. And
or more.
I have a blessedly vague camera in my iMac.
Well, you look wonderful for being almost 70, for real.
Thank you.
All right. So the way I guess I always kind of look at this is the best way to start is at the beginning. So how did you initially kind of get brought into the world of tarot and psychic mediumship and all of those things?
That's elevator speech number 1. When I was 9, I read a book called The Witch Family by Eleanor Estes. And instead of thinking, ooh, that's scary or ha, 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 I thought, and your point is, I knew there was magic in the world. I wanted to go find it. Fast forward to 1973 when I was a senior in high school. I was working part-time at Spencer Gifts, and they had the James Bond 007 tarot deck, and I bought it because we were all hippies then. You had your elephant bell bottoms and your David Crosby fringe jacket and your deck. Now, 5 years later, everybody else had moved on to roller skates and disco balls, but I was still reading. The cards fascinated me. So for 20 years, I read for friends, making sure that I was a clear channel for the information, keeping my ego on the shelf. Then all of a sudden in the early 90s, I found that I could do hands-on healing and talk to dead people with no training. That's when the universe handed me my draft notice and said, hello, you're working for us. So I did it part-time while I had a very checkered career: actress, author, inspirational speaker, video producer, legal assistant, executive recruiter, writer for the graphic novel series ElfQuest, but always the psychic stuff on the side. Until 9/11. As we watched the towers burn, I turned to my husband and I said, I need to do this work full time. People need to know there are other answers out there. He said, I believe in you, go do it. So for 1 more year, I did the corporate gig. And after that, it's what it is today. 6 days a week, 14 hours a day. I read about 1,000 people a year, and I get to get up in the morning. I don't have to get up in the morning. Yes. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
that's amazing. So everybody has this this like COVID story, but for you, yours is going back a little bit further to 9/11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Well, I feel like I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but the question's in my mind, so I'll ask it. We've been talking a lot recently, not with just our teamwear community, but with other guests that we've had on the program about
Mhm.
kind of this new spiritual awakening that seems to kind of be happening. Spiritualism is becoming, to a certain degree, I feel like mainstream again. But you were talking about when you got started, that was kind of also what was going on. Do you see any similarities between when you first started reading and what's been going on, say, within the last 4 or 5 years?
Not really. Back then, it was the whole love light hippie movement. You had Sybil Leek. It was, all of the new stuff. Buckland, I think, was part of it, and everything was brand new. Now, frankly, it's been commercialized.
Mm-hmm.
Back then, it was still kind of hard to find a psychic. Now, they're all over TikTok. They are all over Instagram. They're everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And, a lot of people say, well, I read in high school and I'm retired and I need some extra money, so I'm going to be a tarot reader. Yeah, you can get readings from them. But a lot of tarot is, frankly, life experience, understanding the client, and knowing how deep the cards can go. There's no reason to be scared of the cards. They're just ink on paper. But when you have read as long as I have, you really understand the allegory in the cards, and you can make it much easier for other people, your client, to swallow and not be scared, number one. Allegory is a way of explaining the cards in ways that they can be used for lots of different situations. Right? So what I'm doing right now is I'm pulling 3 or 4 cards that are really good for that kind of thing. And I want to especially pull the 3 cards that weird out rookies: Death, the Devil, and the Tower. Because people see that and they start to hyperventilate, and I'm like, no.
Yeah,
Stop.
people might have just
Don't do that.
Yeah, people might have just clicked off the stream when you mentioned those 3 cards right there.
No.
Yeah, not your crew.
No, not our crew. They know what's up.
No, we're good. We're good.
So let's look at the Tower card. Doom, gloom, and destruction. That's what people think. And I say, no. I want you to think of it like the imploding sports stadium. Okay? Boston Red Sox want to build a new stadium. They have to blow up Fenway first and clear the ground.
Very true.
Yeah. So that way people understand there's purpose to the collapse. They see this card and I say, it doesn't mean you're going to be hit by a bus on Tuesday. Stop. It's death of an old way of life, death of what you've outgrown, death of what was never you in the first place.
Beautiful.
And then they say this, and oh my God, I'm like, no, it is not Mr. Horns in a Tail. It is not even Jack Nicholson in The Witches of Eastwick. It is being bedeviled by something, someone, or some situation, or holding yourself back from your highest and best. And a card that people are not afraid of, but here's the allegory. Take a look at the 8 of Swords. You see a blindfolded and bound woman. It's a very scary area, and she's surrounded by swords. Ooh, ooh, ooh. I say, okay, yes, it's scary, but look carefully. Her bindings and her blindfold are very loose. She can shrug them off. And the swords surround her, but they're not pinning down her skirt. So if she is willing to shrug off the bindings and say, I can look ahead and I'm going to move under my own power and my own choice, she gets out of the swords and isn't pinned down. When you can go deeply into the allegory of the cards, number one, people love stories. That's why storytellers were so revered. And they will understand it better than if you just say, well, this card says that you mustn't be afraid. Yeah, why?
Yeah.
And that's the kind of deep knowledge that you only get when you've been messing with your 78 cards day after day after month after year.
So, what
Yeah.
advice do you have for people who are in the beginning stages of tarot reading or even intermediate stage?
Okay. There are certain books that are really, really great. You can't go wrong with Mary Greer. Tarot for Yourself is the book I started with, back 40 years ago. A book that I still keep on my desk is Power Tarot by Trish McGregor and Phyllis Vega. This is really good because when you go inside the Two of Wands card, they tell you about it, but then they say in a reading, if it's a work question, romance, finances, health, spirituality, and what's the empowerment phrase.
Mhm.
These are really good to help you focus in tightly. Okay, I mean, Lenormand is the meaning is this, the meaning is this. Tarot has a lot more nuance, so it's tougher to work with. One of the things that I teach is something called decadance, and I teach people that they can read any oracle deck that they pick up within 30 seconds. And within 3 hours, number one, they trust their own intuition. They have read their deck, they've read other people's decks, they've traded back and forth, they've read for people they don't know, and they are so excited because they realize, yes, this is not forbidden to them. We're all wired like the same house plan. But the reason that oracle cards are so much easier, they don't have the rules. You can pick out whatever card feels good to you, whatever deck you like the artwork, and the oracle deck will tell you how it wants to be read and on what subjects. They just do. The other thing that, I have 7 or 8 oracle decks, but I also have a children's deck specifically for reading at shows. Because I'm an A-lister and I'm booked solid, open to close. And they're usually crowded. And let's say mommy couldn't get a babysitter for 2-year-old Muffin. So Muffin's on her lap and I'm trying to read and Muffin is going, mommy card, mommy card, mommy card. And she said, will you please let Muffin pick a card? What am I going to do if all I have is an oracle deck? Look, Muffin, death. No. But so I have a kitty deck. It's called Cat Wisdom. And it has things like, don't worry. And it has things like, be ready. And so the kid gets to pull a card from this special deck and she gets her reading. And then I go back to reading seriously for the mom. These are the kinds of things that are in this book, which is everything I learned from being on the road for 18 years. It was 45 weekends a year on the road. My nickname was the Travel Channel. I have been there, done that, sold the franchise, Petunia Pie. It's in here for you. So.
Yeah, that sounded like that came from a necessity. All those little muffins sitting on laps.
I know. One of the things about that book is there are parts that Corbie gets candid. And these are things that have happened to me. There was about 2 decades ago, I was reading in London, Ontario. And I read for some 20-year-old young man who did not like what I said. Mm-hmm. Well, the next day I found an anonymous death threat on my table. This is why I tell people you must have a sign-in sheet that everybody signs in with their own handwriting, unless they their hands don't work. Yeah. I was able to match up the handwritten note with my sign-in sheet, turn it over to the Ontario police, and they took care of it.
Wow. Guess that guy wasn't too smart.
This is, no matter what you think, what we do is not glurpy purple with angels. And what do I mean by that?
Yeah.
Glurpy purple with angels is your typical, hi, I'm Little Dancing Raccoon. And here's my spirit guide, Arctic Bear. Let's see what your angels are saying today. Oh, can I vomit now? I'm from New York. No.
No, it's not all rainbows and unicorns.
No, it certainly isn't. And, what I explain is, here are your opportunities and how to grab them. Here's the tough stuff. Here's how to get through it or around it. Here's your toolbox. Go rock and roll. Mm-hmm. All psychics have their own, if you will, bedside manner. And yes. I hit you upside the head with a clue brick, but I will make you laugh because I'm funny.
Yeah, yeah, I feel you there. That happens to me from time to time as well.
Yeah.
So, not to switch gears too fast.
Oh,
If
go
anybody
ahead.
has any tarot questions for Corby, please put them in the chat. But I was very interested backstage before we started. You were talking about how you work differently as a medium, and you had a story about why you don't do gallery medium readings. I was
Yes.
dying to hear.
First of all, I'm going to say people that are really good mediums amaze me. In fact, Psychic Yellow Brick Road was dedicated to my dear friend, Allie Cheslick, up here in Albany, New York. Best medium I ever knew. Her nickname was Chatty Cathy of the Dead, because once she got them, she would not shut up. And, you know, we lost her 7 years ago, so she really is Chatty Cathy of the Dead now.
Yeah.
But I can't do what you just pull it down and that's it. For some reason, I need their dog tags. For instance, my father, Jerome Richard Dorkin, who died in 2001 at the age of 80. Who they were to you, their full name, the year they died, and how old they were. Doesn't really tell me anything, but it gets me into the energy. And I put my hands out, and my guides like to play charades. They smoked, they toked, they ate a lot, they had surgery, there was an accident, they had attitude. That's just, and the body just does it. No, I'm not possessed. But I let it go, because these are things that give people ideas. And once people say, yes, that's Uncle Roger, I open the door and I say exactly what I'm hearing from them. Just megaphone. Doesn't sound like their voice, but
Yeah.
and the reason why I won't do this in a gallery setting is because, again, many years ago in Canastota, New York, there was a biracial same-gender couple. The black partner had died, and her white widow wanted to speak to her. Now, y'all on YouTube, you see this face? Nice kid from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I have manners. But the contact was immediate, and what comes out of my mouth in flawless urban ebonics is, well, shit, if it ain't my white bitch. Now I'm going, but the woman in front of me was laughing and nodding, because that is what her partner Isabel said when she walked in the house after every business trip.
Oh my goodness.
I cannot say that on a public stage.
No.
So I leave that to y'all. What I can do in a gallery is past lives, because that's my gift, is I can download fast. And I've done, you know, first night Saratoga, 75 people, 3 different seatings. And I didn't get 75 people each time, but I would get their past lives, 15, 20 each one. It was exhausting.
Wow.
But there was enough information and enough acknowledgement that I was getting stuff. For instance, there was a woman who said, I've always been fascinated by World War II, especially USO, you know, when they would take care of the soldiers when they were home on leave. And I said, okay, I think you lived in Baltimore, an Italian family, and you had there were 5 sons and a couple of daughters, but all the sons went into different branches of the military. And because you never knew if you were going to meet someone who knew one of the sons, you'd always help with the USO stuff. When it was heard that the boy who was in the Air Force was shot down over Germany, the mother said, we will not wear black. We will wear sky blue, because he died in the sky for this country. And so all the women in the family wore sky blue. And this was New Year's Eve. So everybody was in their jackets and up to here. And, you know, the woman stands up, unzips her jacket, takes it off, and turns around. She's in a sky blue shirt. She says, sky blue has always been my favorite color.
Oh my God. Wow.
Now, people come to me with questions. And I don't just go fishing for past lives, because we've all had hundreds. And I may find one that's absolutely correct, but if it has no resonance to you this time, you're going to go, yeah. So if you come to me with an obsession, a phobia, a place, a person, you don't understand what, then we talk.
Okay.
There was a woman who came to me and said, I'm really worried about my son. He's 29. He won't make any decisions without me. He won't live more than a mile away. This is just not sane.
Mhm.
And I said, okay. And it took me about 30 seconds. And I said, 1944, Utah Beach. So this is D-Day. I see your son. He's on the beach. He's a soldier. He's down. He's got shrapnel in his leg. He's bleeding out. You're his commanding officer. You scramble over the dune. You drag him to safety. You take some shrapnel too, but you both live. And I opened my eyes and she says, can you see my rank? I said, yeah, you were a sergeant. She goes, he's called me Sarge since he was 3 years old, and we have never known where that's from.
What? That's amazing.
Now, why can't I do that? And there are other good past life people out there. But you see, when the universe hands you your draft notice and you take it, the universe starts rifling inside to see what you got and use it. Me, I'm a theater major. I at Brown University and I acted in New York. I understand characters, story arcs. Words are my drug of choice. I'm a writer. I know how to tell the story. And I have adored history since I was a wee thing in single digits. So, knowing that, you show me a vision and somebody else a vision who also does past lives but doesn't have my historical background. And they would go, well, you're in a long skirt and a big hat and you're in front of a really ornate building. So Europe somewhere, 18th century, 19th century. I would see the same thing and go, okay, hobble skirt, picture hat, that kind of ostrich feather, and you're in front of the Brandenburg Gate. So this is Berlin, 1911 or 12. On the other hand, do not ask me to do spirit art because I cannot draw a stick figure with a sharp pencil and a lot of prayer. Not my wheelhouse.
I wanted to ask you, when you how do you experience the past lives? Because for me, it's like I'm watching a movie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
absolutely.
Jinx, we said it at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it is for you, like you're watching a movie too.
Absolutely.
That seems to be like the go-to way for spirit to show us that. Does it seem that way to you as well?
Yes, especially when stories are good things. If you were, if you did Petty Point and Needlepoint, it might show you the vision and it's literally you see very quickly stitching and it blooms like that. But for you, for me, the idea of playing out a movie works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now,
and every life is a story. So when you think about it like that,
yes, but not every life is famous. Don't come to me and say, I must have been Anne Boleyn because I can't wear turtlenecks. I'll say, you're the 796th person to tell me that and get out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of people that have had neck injuries. So it wouldn't just have to be that one.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I've done a couple past life. Well, I've done several past life regressions now. And for me, it's been the same thing. It's like a movie scenes from a movie that are kind of playing out. For me. So that's been that way as well, which would make sense because I'm also a history person. So the idea of the story and the plot, kind of what the plot devices were, I guess, so to speak, or usually what pop up. But
I want people to understand, though, the difference between past life regression and retrieval. Regression must only be done by a certified hypnotherapist or past life regressionist. Why? Because if you go into the Akashic and you wander around and you see a traumatic experience like a gang rape, or you see your own grisly death, someone who is trained can pull you back just enough that you can observe but not relive it. What I do is retrieval. You say to me, why is it that I'm terrified of wet hair in my face? And I'm the one who runs up to the Akashic, pulls down the book and says, read chapter 2. That can be done at a psychic fair because you are not vulnerable. Mm-hmm. There's your difference.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because I have only done like the past life regression. And that is one of the issues is having to relive those moments. Mm-hmm. I haven't had any that were totally, too difficult for me to take in, but I have seen people who really did have a difficult time with their past life regression. So that would be a huge bonus to be like, hey, why don't you look at this piece and you don't have to see this piece. So I can see the huge benefit of that.
Absolutely. And I mean, if you're a janitor in Des Moines you don't really need to know that you used to be Napoleon Bonaparte, because if you find that out just casually, are you going to want to muck with a mop anymore? I don't.
Yeah.
What's one of your personal past lives that you find to be most interesting, or that you want to share?
God, I know at least 3. Let's talk about the first one. I am not a rock and roll groupie. I love my music, but for some reason in the 1980s, I was obsessed with the lead singer in a particular Philadelphia rock group. And I couldn't figure out why, but then doing a rebirthing session, I knew it was me and I knew it was him, even though we looked very different. I was this little short butter blonde round heels. And he, thinking about it, he was kind of looking like McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy. This is before Grey's Anatomy. But taller. And I heard 1784 Scotland. Now, my history at that point, Wars of the Roses, Tudor England, okay? Nothing about 18th century Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
But I worked with a friend, and we figured out that who in the band was whom to this other guy, the one that I was obsessed with. And going back, we parsed together that I was the local tavern Round Heels, and we had a fling. I got pregnant. I tried to blackmail the local lord with the pregnancy. His retainer, who was his best friend in the band, brought me a purse of gold and said, "Get out of here." I said no. And so I was drowned for my trouble. That was it.
Wow.
Well, this soul has died because of children or in childbirth a lot of times. That's why I was not born with a mommy gene this time. No kids.
Yeah.
And I knew at 13 I did not want kids. So there's that. So we had figured out everything but who the guy was that I was really attached to. We were having linguine and clam sauce in a mainline seafood restaurant. And all of a sudden in my head, I heard Marcus Barron, Gordon Huntley. And I'm thinking, what's with these 2 titles? Well, when you want to look up something about British nobility, you go to a book called Jabret's Peerage. It's 900 pages. And we looked it up and we found in 1752, there was born Alexander 12th Marquis of Huntley. And in 1783 or 4, he was made Baron Gordon of Huntley, Marcus Baron Gordon Huntley. Now, as soon as, and this is the good thing about when past lives are useful, as soon as I figured that out, and the message was he wasn't yours then and he's not yours this time either, the obsession went away like a bubble was popped.
Oh, nice.
Did I ever tell him this? Of course not. Just one more nutty fan. But that's what taught me that past lives are real.
Yeah, because it was something you were experiencing present day that
and
clearly
the information
tied
that
in.
came to me was literally out of the blue.
Wow. That's a great story.
Well, that's interesting too, because it brings up the idea of not just learning our past lives and going through what we were talking about there, but also the fact that we're meeting people that we've lived or had connections with in a previous life as well. How often do you think that occurs? Do we always spend lifetimes with the same people, or is it just kind of a toss-up?
Some of them, yes, they're your soulmates. People always say, I want to know, am I going to meet my soulmate and marry him? And I just, I do this because we have more than one soulmate. They are our core team. In my life, my father was my best friend. He was absolutely a soulmate. In fact, my first book was dedicated to Dad. That's the ultimate picture of the two of us laughing hysterically at a wedding when we can't make noise. My last husband, no. This husband, absolutely. My dear friend and spiritual mentor that I known for 40 years. We have been in each other's lives and out. We've had arguments that separated us for 6 years, and then we've come back as our lives changed and we each grew. And today, 40 years later, we are as tight or tighter as we have ever been because we have reached a level of parity in our own milieu, let's say. She's a soulmate. Twin flames, you don't always get. Bogart and Bacall, Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, even. But the thing is, when you have a twin flame, it can derail you from what you need to do. From my understanding is my twin flame and I made the agreement they would not be down here when I was, because I knew that I had put a lot on my plate for karmic restitution, for healing, and I was going to have to re-raise myself after a terrifically dysfunctional childhood. I could not be distracted with a twin flame relationship. Try that 3 times fast.
What is your what's your personal definition of a twin flame?
They are your other half. They are the soul that is closest to you. They are the soul that when you meet them, it's like a lightning strike.
Does that always have to be romantic?
No. My life as a German World War I pilot, my twin flame was my commanding officer, and we were not gay.
Interesting.
It is just the person that you trust most in the world with your life. And you cannot imagine life without them once you meet them.
I like that definition of it. We have a question from Luce.
Yeah.
Can soulmates be our pets, or is that something different?
Yeah, they certainly can, Luce. This also goes into the question of, can animals reincarnate? Hell yes.
Of course. Why wouldn't they?
I have been a Maine Coon mom cat for 40 years. If y'all don't know what a Maine Coon is, they're like little dogs in cat suits. They're big, funny, affectionate clowns. And so one of my Maine Coons was Oswald, that we later named Oswald the First, for reasons you will know. And he was with me through divorce, remarriage, and cancer. He was my heart's partner.
Oh my goodness.
And when we had to send him across the bridge, which we did at home, I cried so hard my eyes were swollen shut. But that night, I dreamt about him. He was his big 20-pound self. He had been down to 10 pounds and very arthritic.
Wow. Poor baby.
And for some reason, we were in a little boat in the Boston Common on a lake. And he jumped in the prow of the boat and he turned around like a puppy and settled. And I literally jackknifed up in bed, suffused with joy. And the message from him was, Mom, thank you so much. That body sucked. I'm so glad to be out of it. I will be back. I promise. Wait for me. Watch for me.
Oh.
And so I was working with a very good animal communicator at that point who was able to pinpoint which breeder and which litter he was going to come in through. I said, how am I going to know? She laughed. She said, he has it handled. So he's going to have the same name. It's going to be another Oswald. And I go to the breeder, and there's this kitten pile. You can't see the heads. You can't see the tails. Everybody is sleeping on everybody else. And I'm about 6 feet away. And so I sit down, and I call him, Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. 3 of them didn't move. One little boy, his head shot up, looked at me, came bumbling over into my lap like, where the hell you been? Then we bring him home. He says hello to the 2 old Himalayan cats that Oswald the First had grown up with. He said hello to the 10-month-old Maine Coon that we had gotten in the meantime, who's saying, who the hell are you? Eats out of everybody's food dish. And he says, I'm home. So that was Oswald II, who became known as Oswald the Great. D-A-G-R-A-T. He could not spell. He had all the same quirks. He had a Facebook page with like 900 people. People loved him. And We didn't have him as long as we did the first time he had cancer. We had to send him across the bridge at just shy of 11 instead of 17.
Wow.
And we had the same animal communicator talk to him the day before. And he said he wasn't coming back. 2 lives in 28 years is enough, but now he wanted. And so about 2 months later, we had gotten our little ginger ninja, Harley Q Pouncy Bounce, who we had saved from a Bronx crack house where they only fed him every few days after they got their drug money, threw him against the wall. I mean, he had seizures when we first got him. But anyway, my husband, who is not wired heavily in terms of WikiWoo, comes upstairs and says, would you please come downstairs to my office? Something's there, and Harley is really getting freaked out. And I go downstairs and I look at where Harley is like staring, and I tune in, and it's Oswald coming out. And Oswald is the size of a panther now. And so we talk. He paddles over to Carl and jumps up, puts his paws on Carl's shoulder. And then he comes and jumps back on the bed. And meanwhile, the Ginger Ninja is staring at me and saying, Harley, this is your brother Oswald. Do you want to say hello? And Harley jumps up on the bed and stares right almost nose to nose with where Oswald is. How else do we know that they will contact us? Remember, I talked about Manfred, the 10-month-old. We just lost him March 30th, 15 and a half.
Oh.
He was daddy cat. Every cat that we brought in the house after we got him, from Oswald to Prawn to Harley, he raised, he loved. He was the gentlest, sweetest boy.
Oh.
And losing him, he was terribly decrepit. It hurt, but we knew it was the right thing. So about a week and a half after he passed, I had a dream. And I was leaning over our sofa, and he was curled up on the sofa as he always was. But he was a little faded, the way a picture will be faded if you leave it in the sun too long.
Mm-hmm.
And in my dream, I reached down to pet him, and I didn't think I was going to feel him. But all of a sudden, I felt the weight and the heft, the bones, and I felt the incredibly soft fur that he had. And in the dream, I cried out in joy, which would have spooked the real Manfred and spooked that when he jumped off the sofa and went. Now, that morning, my husband says to me, I had the weirdest dream last night. Same time that I had mine. He said, I dreamt about cats going across the Rainbow Bridge. I had no idea who they were, but that was the message from Manfred. Mama, Daddy, I love you, but it was the right thing to do.
Oh.
And so one of the conceits, if you will, is there was a place called the Heavenly Treats Cafe. When Oswald went up, he became the proprietor and treats tester. And when Manfred came up, they made him the personnel director.
Oh, cute.
And the amazing thing is whenever I read a friend has lost their cat or someone on one of our Maine Coon pages, I just reassure them they've made it to the cafe. They're sitting at the welcome table. They've got their tuna sliders and their mousy mousse with whipped cream and the Prosecco. And they're at the special balcony where they can always watch it. And people, this has become the way thought forms. Santa Claus, people believe that there is a real Heavenly Treats Cafe. For dogs, dogs are allowed in too. They get their all-you-can-eat chicken and waffle special, and then they can go to the bouncy ball pit.
Keisha said you need to make that into a children's book, please.
Oh, I know. I need to find illustrators, darling. But
we have to go back and ask a question about twin flames. But before we do that, I wanted to know, since you are a cat person as well, and you had, when cats pass, you've had living cats at the same time, like we have. Have you? I've noticed this every time we've had a cat pass, the living cat will take on some of the mannerisms of the deceased cat temporarily. Have you ever noticed that before with yours?
Well, not quite that way. I know that Oswald knew because we found out his heart wouldn't handle the cancer surgery, which is why we had to send him across the bridge. And for 3 days, he and Prawn's our 22-pound Maine Coon that we have now. Prawn's about 8. So Prawn was 4. They would hold paws. They would be next to each other in the separate beds. They were inseparable.
Yeah.
And I am sure that Oswald was saying, okay, you're going to be high commander now. This is what you got to do to take care of mom and dad.
Yeah.
And Prawn's personality changed overnight. He used to be a whack job. Still is. But now, literally, we got the title for him, High Commander, like Third Rock from the Sun. He runs this place. He demands. We now have a schedule in the morning. They get their food, but then they get their Danish. What's Danish to a cat? He has to have cut up chicken, hand-fed by mommy. That's his Danish.
They're not spoiled.
The little ginger ninja, he's fine with temptation. You know. We get Gick every day. What is Gick? Gick is the little tubes of cat yogurt because they each get CBD oil in it. Prawn for his hips. You know, Maine Coons are like Great Danes. Their hips aren't great. And Harley to prevent his seizures. If it is, that comes at 10 in the morning and 8 at night. If it is 10:02, Prawn comes in and hits his every 5-second tape loop. And won't shut up.
Yeah. So you kind of think it might have been more like a communication between them before.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But I think this only happens if there's that. I mean, if the cat is outside and hit by a car, I don't think there is that chance. So then taking on some of it for a while and letting go, that may be it.
Yeah.
But our cats are always strictly indoor. So they had the chance to pass the baton.
So we have to go back and ask this question. Frosty, would you like to ask CMC's question?
Well, yeah, I wanted to mention real quick too.
Okay.
I can testify to the Maine Coon cat experience. I had a Maine Coon myself, and I've loved all of my cats, but there's a very special place for the Maine Coon that I had for sure. He became legendary in his lifetime due to the personality. So I can 100% know where you're coming at with that. CMC asks a question on twin flames. Do we only have one, or as many speculate, can there be multiple twins?
Nope. One twin flame, like, one joker in the deck, tons of soulmates or companions. But the twin flame is the one and only.
That's kind of interesting because I was going to bring up something similar myself, which is I've had a few experiences in my life, maybe 4 or 5 at the most, where I've just met somebody, a friend of a friend, someone at a party, a coworker of someone, and it was just like in an instant, I felt like I had known them forever, that they were my new best friend.
Soulmate. That is a soulmate. That's what I call the click and lock friendship. That's how I got my job at ElfQuest. Richard and Wendy Peeney are 2 of my dearest friends. Wendy has been the spiritual mentor for 4 decades, though we, as I say, we are now parody sisters as opposed to mentor. I met Richard in 1983 at a con in Philly, and what was supposed to be a 5-minute fan conversation and handing him a chocolate cake turned into a 12-hour marathon. I was invited up to visit them in Poughkeepsie to discuss possibilities because he needed an assistant. I had no idea that this too was absolutely nothing. And within 48 hours, Wendy hitches herself up on the kitchen counter and says, "Well, I think we ought to hire her." And Rich goes, "Yeah." And I'm going, but that day changed my life.
Wow.
So, yes, that kind of deep, instantaneous can be soulmates. It really can.
It's always been interesting to me too, because the people that I've had that connection with in this lifetime have always just been acquaintances. Like I've known them for a little period of time, and then, you know, off they went. It wasn't like necessarily like best friends that I've had or anything like that. There's just been like a, wow, this person is awesome. And then it's gone.
They did
Like
what they
fading.
needed to do in your life and go.
Yeah. Interesting. Very interesting.
CNC
That's
was
what
going to ask
CNC
the
was gonna
exact
ask.
question. He had 3/4 of it typed out. Nice.
Excellent.
I wanted to get into spirit guides a little bit.
Sure.
So you said you offer conferences to work with spirit guides. What does that entail?
All right. I tell people spirit guides and angels, you need a Venn diagram. Remember Venn diagrams from math? The two circles and there's a little something in the middle of it is both.
Yes.
Well, the Venn diagram for spirit guides and angels is a donut. Angels are in the center. All angels are spirit guides. We all have at least one. They are with us from birth to death. They have our names in the back of their tunics like little can tags. I belong to Frosty. Spirit guides are the donut. Spirit guides grow and change as we do. You don't have the same teacher from kindergarten to PhD. So you can have a guide, and as you grow or something in your life changes, they can step back and another guide comes. With me, my very first spirit guide was someone I flew with 100 years ago. The guy's name is Carl Schaefer. And it makes perfect sense that someone I would trust with my life, which the pilots all did, would help me figure things out. Now, as my work has gotten deeper and the vibe has gotten higher, not my vibe has gotten higher, but I work specifically with my own angel. The name that he has given me to use for him is Baruchiel. Do I still have contact with all the pilots I knew then? Of course, they're friends. But they are not the ones that I necessarily depend on.
Mm-hmm.
I know when I do hands-on healing stuff, they'll step in. Carl Amel had a hip wound that made one leg 2 inches shorter than the other. He wore elevated boot, if you will. You know, when you're in a plane, doesn't matter. So when I'm working on someone and they have hip joint pain, things like that, I'll work with him. If someone has migraines, head injuries, things like that, who comes in but Manfred? Because in 1917, he got a bullet wound that took out part of his skull. So he understands that. Now, are these really the souls? Maybe, maybe not. I'll know when I'm dead. Maybe they're just avatars that put on the guise of the people that I knew.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is when I work on someone to relieve some pain, they'll be the specific ones to come in, and it works. Okay.
All right. Well, we have made it all the way through the first hour. It goes quick. It really does. I just want to make a note to everybody. We have the links of all the places that you can find Corbie online, and those links are up at the top of the Twitch chat. And if you're watching this at a later time in the podcast or on YouTube, all of those links will be listed down below in the comments, so you can go and find all the wonderful places where you can find Corbie online if you're interested in checking any of that out. So, did you have any other questions about spirit guides, Jenny? Because I know that's something that we've
now I
talked
had a
quite
question
bit
about the hands-on healing.
Okay.
I know it's called hands-on healing, but is it something you also do from a distance?
Yep. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Mm.
One of my best friends does tend to have migraines, and she'll say, I'm having an owl morning. I'll say right or left side. She'll tell me, and I'll just work on it. I never charge for that. That's just a gift that I give people. What I charge for, because I see somebody made the comment about, what was it? Tarot covered in money or something. You know, people, let's take an example. I used to do 4-day shows in Kitchener, Ontario. Okay. What's that entail? was $1,000 just to have the booth. Then it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 5 nights in a row in hotels or B&Bs.
Mhm.
Gas and tolls. The trip was 1,400 miles round trip. Plus I had to pay my front person. Plus I had to eat. No, I'm not going to do it for free.
Yeah.
I have to charge.
Mhm.
But because
Absolutely.
I charge and I can make a living at this, I can work 14 hours a day for people all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that I talk about, and I think both Yellow Brick Road and You've Got the Magic Who Needs a Genie, is people who try not to play fair. And so I'm going to share a little of this with you. I've gotten all of these. How about you do a reading for less? At least you're getting paid. Can my friend and I have a reading together and only pay for one? Here, do a free reading for me. And if I'm impressed, I'll tell all my friends about you. Wow, that's a lot of money, but I really want a reading. Stands there, watches me, waiting for me to offer them a deal. Why won't you give me a free reading? You're just greedy. You're not very spiritual. So then I flip it around and I say, okay, listen to these. You say to the hairstylist, how about doing the cut for less money? At least you're not standing around. To the plumber, how about you change the pipes in my bathroom sink and replace my dishwasher, but I only pay for one service call. To the cleaner, clean my house a couple of times for free. If I think it's good enough, I'll tell everyone how good you are. To the dress shop owner, wow, that's a lot for that dress, but I really want it for my party. Stop, stare, wait. My favorite line. To the physician, why won't you see me for free? You'd rather I just got sick and died. You're not very compassionate. And people hear this and say, how ridiculous. And I say, it's the same thing.
Exactly.
Now, there are times when Spirit says to me, do a pro bono for this person. They can't afford it. They need it. And I will. But I won't do it at a show where I'm working. I explain, look, this is where I earn my money, but I'll do this for you. You call me on such and such a day and such a time, and I'll be happy to do a free reading for you. I can make that offer to 6 people. Only one will take me up on it because the other 5 just wanted to see if they could cheat me out of the money.
Yeah.
Been there, done that, sold the franchise. My darlings, there is nothing you can pull on me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I feel like that's kind of the same thing that I've seen in the, in the art world. I was a musician for a long
Absolutely.
time. And, people never understand why your band doesn't want to play a venue for
Yeah.
free.
Same thing as a visual artist. Can't you make me this thing for free? Yeah.
Yeah. And
No.
I'll tell everybody about it, or you'll get exposure. Yeah. If you play our club, we'll give you No, I'm going to put butts in the seats. How about that?
It's funny. I'm the exact opposite. You heard me talk about Allie Cheslick. Her daughter, Christina, has been my front person at local shows. And she considers me Auntie Corbie. And she says, I would do this for nothing. I said, no, you won't. Because you're putting as much effort and work into this day as I am. And you need to know that you're valued. So that's why I had a 4-page instruction sheet for all of my front persons. What to do, how to do it, how to break down, where to find me, etc. And it was treated like a professional job. I used to be an executive recruiter. I know how to do this.
Yeah.
And I said, look, I am like a thoroughbred horse. I want what I want when I want it. Jump. But if you keep me fed, watered, and walked, I will bring home the bacon. And I did. I always read more than anybody else at the fair. I always sent my front people home with an extra couple of $100 in their pay packet.
Nice.
Because I worked and they worked with me. They knew how valued they were. Sorry, guys. Cat hair. Maine Coons are wonderful, but they shed. Easy peasy.
My running away was a cat experience too. So I got the same thing. I got cat hair on me. So we have another question from CMC. And I guess first we need to ask if you've had any experience with dragons. If you have had experience with dragons, what's their role and how does it differ from guides, angels, higher self, etc.?
I have never had a dragon. I have friends that have had dragons. And if they were around, I would send you right over to them. But my thing is cats Ravens are my baby birds.
Ooh, ravens, yeah.
Okay. I mean, the name Corbie Mitleid is what I call my Elton John name, my entertainer's name. Because when I used to read under my legal name, and this is before I had a cell phone. I mean, this is going way back, children. The phone would ring at 3 a.m. Hey, the bitch left. Is she coming back? Or could I fuck the girl down the street? She's hot. Now, the thing is, we couldn't not answer the phone because for 23 years, my husband was the director of a local county museum. And we had to answer the phone in case it was the cops saying somebody had broken in. So I very quickly got the idea, this is not working. So now you have is Corbie Mitleid in my cell phone. But Corbie is Gaelic for raven, and I love the birds. And Mitleid is the German word for compassion, to remind me why I do the work I do.
Compassionate raven. Love it.
I only pet you when you need
it. Yeah, you gotta watch out for the beak sometimes.
So, but I want to talk about bedside manner with psychics. Okay.
Yeah.
Usually I start out this, how do I choose a psychic? And I say, well, let's take a look at what you do going to a psychic fair when you don't know any of us from Adam's house cat. You have to be good puppies. First, you go in and you do your walkies. You just walk around. Don't talk to any of the psychics. Just look, get a feel. Excuse me. The way you would going to the state fair. Then you get paper trained. What's paper trained? We all have rat cards. I'm going to move out of camera, but I'm still talking to you. And the rat cards are things that explain who we are, what we do. Very often on the back, you're going to find some testimonials. Collect that from everybody that looks interesting and go and sit and read. You're going to find 3 or 4 of us that look really interesting, and you're going to come back. You'll talk to us if we're not busy, but if we are, you'll probably talk to our front people. Remember that I can tell you I'm wonderful and that doesn't count. And we hire our front people to say they love us. My very first front person was the wonderful Laura Spickerman. Laura was my husband's office manager at the museum Monday through Friday. Do you think she's going to dismiss his museum director on the weekends? Probably not. You want to find our testimonial books. We all have them. Those are comments from people that have had readings. Are we good? Are we kind? Are we, do we have specialties? Children, dogs, dead people? Are we funny? Would they come back? But the last thing is, check at your heart chakra, kids. You are putting your hard-earned money on the table. If the psychic doesn't feel like they have a brain in their head, they really care about what they're doing, or they're going to give you good information, don't go to them no matter how cool the wiki-woo looks on the table. And if nobody there rings your chimes, leave without a reading. Honest. But let's say that you were looking and you wanted someone who would be a straight arrow. Well, that's me. You sit down with me, and the first thing I say is, what's the most important thing you want to get out of your knowing? And if you go blank on me, I go Brooklyn on you and go, darling, what's biting your butt? Boom, everybody's got one of those. And the reason I do that, it's not cold reading, but I have so many tools. You would not go into a doctor and say, I hurt, fix me. No, I'm not going to tell you any of the symptoms. Your doctor, fix it. Basically, people come to me for 4 things. The everyday tour bus, house, car, job, kids, finances. Okay, God, you put me here. Now what? Past lives. Why am I afraid of oatmeal? And why do I have this thing about 1642 Belgium? Or I want to speak to my spirit guide, Binky. Or how's dead Aunt Mabel? But I can't do all of that necessarily in the time that you've purchased. So I want to get right to what you want. And the other thing is, I don't do yes or no questions. I really don't. Because if you want to do something and I say no, where do you go? And that sets you up for the fakes. Oh, you have a family curse. How many in your family? 4 dog. $50 if you had family member, 25 for dog, he's small, we fix. I saw that done in Canada. And the woman dropped $400.
We hear it all the time. We hear stuff like that.
I was actually just getting ready to ask you that question because it is becoming We do tarot streams on Twitch, and it's just
Mhm.
becoming like almost every stream, someone's coming in and saying, somebody told me that I have a negative thing attached to me, or I have a curse, or I have a
Yeah.
this and that. And
Mhm.
it's like,
Or
man,
And
this
then
is
and
when
then
I
I
becoming
do
do
my
what you
free
were doing
reading
where I'm like,
hours, you got the poachers coming in. Beloved, I know there is a message for you. And luckily, my wingman, my handler, cuts them out. Let me tell you, kids, nobody who is an honest intuitive will ever come poaching into somebody else's reading. Now, if I'm doing my stuff and all of a sudden I see my buddy Stacy Wells, Stacy and I are both in Robert Schwartz's book series. She is the most amazing medical intuitive I've ever known in my life. I would send you, if you had a health question, I'd send you to Stace. And I would say, this is my buddy Stacy Wells. She is absolutely fabulous with medical intuitive. Okay. You want something like a mojo bag, fixed candles, anything like that? That's not me. But I will say, you want to see Katrina and Eric Rasbold at Crossroads Occult. Their shop is closed, but they still do everything online. They are fabulous for that kind of thing. You see, when you're not worried about if I help somebody else, I won't get paid. You don't do zero sum. That raises all of us. I will always send you to the people who are
Exactly.
better at what you need than I am.
Yes,
But they
raising
will
all
send
the
you to
boats.
me when you want past lives or you want tarot.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So now let's go back to the tarot. Let's say you said, I have some career stuff. I'd go, great. I used to be an executive recruiter with engineering and manufacturing. Let's talk about it. And you said, well, I've got this store idea. Super. It would not be 3 cards and wait until August and fire the second redhead. Be a card for you, a card for any partner you have, a card for the energy around the business, the brick and mortar location, how to market it, clients, competition, staff, finances, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. That loads you up with so much information. It's a rocket pack on your back, and you can make it work. If you came to me with the age-old question, does Bruce love me? Card for you, a card for Bruce, a card for the energy in the relationship as it stands, what you need to know, and best possible outcome. If you say, I still don't know what to do, then I put my 3 threes. 3 cards for status quo, you just kind of bumble along. 3 cards for the come to Jesus meeting, and you draw a line in the sand and you say, we're doing counseling. And 3 cards for hostile. Bye-bye, it's been nice, but I'm sending you a postcard. Now, I will tell you what it says, but then I'm going to sit back and shut up. And I may see the leave him thing with a Beetlejuice sign.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say, I guess I'll just stick it out for a while, I have to zip it. It's called free will.
Exactly.
The only time I take off the reader's turban and put on my reverend collar is if you tell me that you're gaslit, you're beaten, you're abused somehow, then I will tell you how to leave safely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
Agreed.
we are not the repairman. We hand you your toolbox, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's where what you were talking about at the beginning of this conversation too, about life experience being part of, you have intuition, but sometimes that can mix with just the life experience to be able to give advice once they've gotten the reading. Is that kind of where you are with that?
More than that, I'm able to tell you how to deal with work because I was an executive recruiter. So you get both my right brain and my left brain. Why should you not?
Mm-hmm.
If you decide
Thank you
that
for
you
saying
want to-
that. Thank you for saying that, because I've been feeling like there's kind of two boats there. One is like only letting spirit talk and letting spirit say, and one is like mixing it together. And I definitely mix it together. Like I'm speaking from my experience too, and like blending it together. So it's nice to hear that somebody else says that also.
Keisha Mama has a great question. She says,
does.
So on those love readings, do you read for Bruce? I try to avoid love readings because I worry about crossing the energetic line. That's called remote spying, baby. And you and I are on the same page. Now, the example I use, Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. When they were together, Brad could ask about Angelina. Angelina could ask about Brad. Now, no. one of, we can choose not to do readings as well as anybody else. A woman came to me and said, I want to know where my husband is sleeping with his mistress. I said, I'm sorry, I don't remote spy. Oh, geez. Well, can you tell me how many people he slept with? I'm sorry, I don't do remote spying. Jesus, you're no good. Well, is he sick? Is he going to die soon so I can get his money? And I turned to Laura and I said, Laura, I am not connecting with Mrs. Cooperson. Would you please give her money back, please? And I just moved. But sometimes we know we're reading right and the client doesn't like it, but I'm going to tell you, stick to your guns. Excuse me. There was a woman, I used to go up to Kitchener, Ontario 3 times a year. And so Labor Day, a woman came in my booth and I saw some challenging stuff for her, which I told her about. And she looks at me and she says, you suck. And she gets up and walks away. All right. Have a nice life.
Rude.
I'm back first week in January. Who is the first person to sit down at my booth? And she goes, last time I said you sucked. And I said, yes, I remember. Because you told me that I was going to take in a boarder and then I was going to sell my house. And I thought that was all bull. But my daughter moved home because she's pregnant. And now I'm going to sell my house to raise my grandson. But I still don't like you. But I want to know what else you see. Don't shoot the messenger.
Ay, ay, ay.
Yeah, sometimes people don't want to hear the messages that they get.
Or we see a thing where people just keep getting readings till they have someone tell them what they wanted to hear. That's another thing that happens.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're wasting a lot of money. People, that brings up the idea of how often do you get a reading? There is no set number. If you have a reading with me today and you come back to me in a month and you say, that reading was great. I did everything that we talked about here, all the shifts. Can we look at it and see where to go next? You are welcome to my desk. But if I see you once a year and you always ask the same questions and I know I'm giving you the same answers, then after year 3, I am like a good bartender and I cut you off. You're wasting my time and your money. And you see, that's one of the things. Some people are kind of afraid of me because my bullshit tolerance meter is set at featherweight. And I find it funny because when it comes to the rookies, I'm one of the most generous people there and people are weirded out. I will always at a show find the rookies, introduce myself. Gee, it's great to have you here. Bring them over to my booth, let them ask questions, give them some of my information so they know the kinds of things to do. Why would I be afraid of a rookie when I've been reading since Moses was in diapers?
Yeah.
And at 70, 30 years, guys, I'm going to be dead. We need to raise the young ones now.
Yeah.
The only time that ever bit me in the butt was someone that I really treasured plagiarized off my website.
Ooh.
Verbally, every word. And reading, I'm
Dang.
sorry. I'll share a lot of things, but words are my blood. You don't do that. Which is a shame because I never recommend her anymore. I don't mention her name anymore. And I used to recommend her all the time.
Yeah.
But you don't do that in this community. You just don't.
Well, in any
For one thing,
community,
you're going to
really.
show you're not a real professional.
Yeah.
And for another, karma is a bitch.
Yeah, and I imagine that plays an important role. I mean, I know that it did for Jenny as well. When you're in a field that can be as stigmatized as being a psychic or a medium or a channeler or any of those things, it's very nice to have that group of people that you can share stories with and learn from each other, or to have, well, the person who's been there and done that to be able to ask questions to, because in this field, it's not necessarily guaranteed that you're going to have that person you can talk to.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So you don't want to burn those bridges for sure.
Yes.
What else we got here? Who else is asking stuff?
So I'm looking for
You
now
guys
here.
got more questions? More
All right.
questions.
Yep. If you have some questions, make sure to highlight them, throw them in chat over, and we'll see them and pick them out for you.
Yeah,
we do have a little bit more time left.
If you guys are becoming professionals and you have any questions about how to do the corporate stuff, how to do the parties, how to handle things please, I am here to help with that. because I know that y'all are not just going to lob the, stupid questions at me.
Yeah.
Oh, there is a, hi, Manfred. There's a big moth outside. Man, we used to
nice.
always let in one moth a night from Manfred because he was the MVP. Moth, very persistent, and he could catch them. But we have no Manfred now, and the other ones don't want
Aw.
mothies. So, Moffy, go live. You're so lucky.
Won't get taken out by any cats tonight, Moth.
Nope. He
So
was named after the Red Baron, and we called him an ace because he caught 5 enemy mousies before we filled in the hole in the fireplace.
Nice job. Nice job,
Yeah.
Kitty.
So we've talked about tarot and we've talked about past life. I wanted to, as before we kind of move away from any of it, if the conversation changes, have you ever worked with any other kind of divination mediums before? Any other besides tarot?
I use runes occasionally. I use numerology. I channel. I don't use a pendulum because, like Katharine Hepburn, I have a slight benign tremor in my hand and I can't trust it. Don't do spirit art. But I am sure that a good chunk of Psychic Yellow Brick Road, and You've Got the Magic, and even Clean Up Your Life Closet was channeled.
Mhm.
When I do my soul plan readings, which is the biggest thing I do, what I can do is I can channel your soul for you to talk to your higher self. We didn't know I could do that until I started working with Rob Schwartz back in about 2000. Can you talk to your own soul? Yes, you can. The thing with me is I can key into everybody's higher self. And yes, my voice changes. And yes, I tell people things that I can't know and. But I don't remember it. I kind of, the me goes up and reads a magazine.
So you're like doing like trance stuff when it comes to the talking to higher self. Interesting.
Yes.
Well, there's a whole conversation right there.
Yeah. There is no, it's in this. There's the 3-legged stool in your life: getting clear on your purpose, getting clear in relationships, and getting clear with spirit. And when I was writing Clean Out Your Life Closet, I remember that Baruchiel, my angel, gave me a direct channel. You will find clarity of spirit when you acknowledge, accept, and rejoice in the fact that you are not your body, not your mind, not your experiences. You are and always have been part of the ineffable whole, unceasing, unchanging, non-judging. When you feel in balance and complete, when you feel that you are one with all that is, there is clarity of spirit. Spirit in the human soul understands the impermanence of all. Because all things are coming to be and passing away, attention is placed on that which abides. That which abides in the human soul is formed of charity, compassion, love, and the understanding of the interconnection with all those sharing your reality. That's not how I speak. That was a channel.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Now we have 2 questions. Luce wanted to know,
Okay.
how do you personally disconnect when you are shown traumatic events when channeling?
First of all, CNC, thank you for downloading Clean Out Your Life Closet. Now, please, when you finish it, write a review on Amazon. They are so important for
CMC is
self-published.
he is the king of Amazon reviews, so that's the right person to get it.
Yep.
I adore you. My Maine Coon sends you a headbutt. Thank you. All right, now I've totally lost the question.
It was
traumatic things when I channel.
How do you personally disconnect when you're shown traumatic things?
I'm not. It's always objective with me. Are you talking? Give me an example of what might be a traumatic thing that I channel.
Luce, talk about it. Or I think I might know one of the examples you're talking about. Perhaps like when you see something traumatic, maybe specifically for yourself, even like if you saw a traumatic thing in your own like past life vision, how do you can disconnect from that?
Because I know it's just the movie, and I remind myself I'm here. When I was a pilot, I was shot down over Zonnebeck Ridge in November of 1917. For a long time, I used to get pains here and I didn't know what it was until I was past life regressed. And that's where the bullet holes were. And after that, I never had the pain again. So I admit, or what?
Or if you're feeling really connected to another person's trauma, if you're like doing a mediumship reading or something like that, and you see something traumatic for someone else,
In the future or the past?
Either one, I guess.
Okay.
But you're feeling connected to it and it's affecting you. How could you disconnect?
It doesn't. I am the tool that spirit is using. A hammer doesn't say, "Oh, I hurt because you whacked my head against a nail." Okay. And because of the work I did with Robert Schwartz, I understand that we're a blip and these are parts we play.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't understand that. So I use the example of the actor Matt Smith. Matt was the 11th Doctor on Doctor Who. He was my doctor, though. Shooting got was coming really close. But when he hung up the bow tie and 2 short pants, he became Prince Philip on one of the first 2 seasons of The Crown. And when he hung up his garter sash, he became this whack job on House of the Dragon. Now, the Doctor, the Prince, and the whack job don't know each other, have totally different lives, totally different things about them.
Mm-hmm.
But they're all brought to life by Matt Smith. Matt Smith is our soul, our higher self.
Yeah.
These are 3 incarnations, which is why when somebody comes to me and says, the Bible says we only live once, I go, and you're absolutely right. Because Frosty, Jenny, Corbie, we're one and done.
This is it.
It's the soul that comes back time and time and time again. I have been through 3 bouts of breast cancer, 2 divorces, the death of my parents, physical abuse, rape, poverty.
Wow.
But I also know that this is part of my life plan because I had a lot of learning to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I let it go. I live very much in the present moment. Very much. I mean, in my head, I'm 30. The idea that this is an almost 70-year-old body freaks me the hell out. I stay in the present moment. I don't think about years and years and years past. Pretty much anything that happened, except for things that touch on the psychic stuff. Before I married Carl, that's dust for me. Because my happy life, even with the challenges, because my worst cancer came while I was married to him, this is who I am now. I wasn't who I had to be then.
Yeah.
So I understand how fast trauma can change. I understand that sometimes it's what we need for who we need to be. If I had not gone through all that, I would not be the compassionate, wise elder that I am. It's that simple.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind
Does
of
that
the
answer
key to looking at it. Yes. Luz said that was a light bulb moment. So I think you got through to Luz. CMC had another question. Actually, he's got 2, but we'll do the first one first. How do you spiritually protect yourself and your energy during readings?
I've been doing this so long that I don't know if Jenny and Frosty can even see it, but I have absolute, complete, and total faith that my guides are around, my angels are around, and when I really need to, and I just popped them out now, I've got white raven wings. White raven is a First Nations tale. Raven used to be white, but when he stole the sun back and brought it back to mankind, he got soot on him coming through the smoke hole of the longhouse. So, but he was originally white. So I have a set of wings on my shoulders that I just kind of pop out like Lucifer. And with my kind of energy, nobody messes with me. They just don't.
Me too.
So
yeah.
And part of it, frankly, is theater training. That's
Yeah.
why I can walk into a room 3 feet before I walk into a room.
Yeah.
Mm.
Trust. I think trusting. Frosty, did you want to ask CMC's other question?
Yeah, he wanted to know which air arm did you fly for, and do you like flying now?
I was German. This is World War I. This is when Hitler was a little corporal choking on mustard gas in the trenches. And I get vertigo now because I wasn't supposed to try and fly again. My husband has a pilot's license. He's been involved with the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome for as long as I've been reading. He's 50 years. He's got a little rocket but I am someone. I mean, I can fly in a big tin can when somebody else is the pilot, but I had to keep my feet on the ground, head in the sky for this life.
Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, CMC's our airplane guy, so I'm sure that this whole conversation is completely fascinating.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Our kid, our oldest kid, has a past life where he was a pilot too. So that is very interesting.
He got his tail wheel endorsement in a champ. Go CMC. Nice job.
All this plane talk. I love it.
Yep.
Well, I wanted to go back a little bit to one of the first things we talked about tonight. When I asked earlier about the connections between what's going on now and maybe what was happening when you first started reading. But one consistent thing we've seen with all the guests we've had on recently, whether it's psychic mediums or even just other podcast hosts, is this belief that there is something happening. That there is a movement, a transition that is starting to happen with our human race. Is that something that you would agree with? Is that something you see like a leveling up, so to speak, or is that not something that you've noticed?
I don't generally go there, and I'm not going to talk about politics. I'm not going to say what I see happening here. I'm not sure. We're certainly not going to be here 250 million years. But unless we learn what's going on, I think mankind will be extinct in 100 years. Truly. So if we're leveling up, we have to. The reason I think the extinction is climate catastrophe. That's reality. That's not politics.
No, for sure.
And we have to stop playing a zero-sum game. Just like there are a lot of psychics who think if you get a reading that I don't, and there's a lot of what I call bitchcraft, that's not going to help us. One of the things I say about my book, The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, I don't care if you never come to me. If you buy that book and it helps you find another good intuitive, all boats rise. I did my job. So what we need to do is we need to be an us. We need to realize we are connected. And it could be that the leveling up humans are the only ones who are going to make it. That, I would entertain that very much. Very much.
Yeah. I agree. Got to be a us. Got to realize we're all the same thing. That we all have to do this together. Can't be a I. There's no I in team.
Yeah.
That's right.
That old one.
There's no I in soul either, kids.
There isn't.
Or karma.
Yeah.
So, now, before we finish tonight, I do want to talk a little bit about karma. Karma is not carrot and stick, according to what Robert Schwartz and the rest of us learned. Karma is 5 things: healing, service, contrast, unbalanced energy, and healing of beliefs. And it is really important to see that. And I use an example of a life that in the old days, people would have said, oh, wow, bad karma, must have been an awful person. And that's Ryan White. For those who don't know, Ryan White was a normal kid, but he had a blood disorder. And he got AIDS from a blood transfusion in 1984 when we really knew nothing about AIDS. People assumed if you got AIDS, you must have had gay sex. So they assumed he was a horrible person. They didn't let him go to school. He had to fight to go to school, had to go to a different school district, I think. His family was treated horribly, but somehow they met Elton John. And Elton was so moved by Ryan's positive attitude, his actions, his saying, I will live a normal life as long as I can, that he adopted the family. He played at Ryan's funeral. Ryan died at 18. Ryan inspired Elton to go and get clean from drink and drugs and all the things that were killing him. And after he got clean, he started the Elton John AIDS Foundation, which raised $500 million so far for AIDS research worldwide. Now, looking at that and realizing karma can be 5 things, it's easy to see Ryan's soul saying, short life and a tough one, but look what we can cause to happen. Yeah. Ryan's karma was that of service, not he was banned. And the more we understand that, the less judgmental we get.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
Yeah, I loved that story. Did you read his autobiography, Elton John's? Yeah.
Me? Yeah. I listened to it, read by Taron Egerton, who did such a job in Rocket Man.
Nice.
Oh my God. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, I love that
Elton's
book so much.
He's 77 now, but still very involved in today's music. He supports the up and coming. I mean, he does for his group what I do for my group, because we know we have to pass it on. Yeah. It's how to be an elder, not a boomer.
Nice.
Boomers are the ones to say, we had all this good stuff. This is what your grandmother looked like. We get it. Yeah. You know what? We did have the sweet spot, guys. We did. But we didn't have what kids have to deal with today. We were never afraid of being our jaw being blown off in school because someone comes in with an AR-15. We never worried that the earth might be uninhabitable in our lifetime. We never worried that someone would attack us because we chose to take a vaccine, who we loved, who we voted for, how we viewed the world. Kids today have it much rougher. I get so involved in it, I can't even talk. So how do you become a boomer instead of an elder? You realize we go off stage now. Not everybody can be Keith Richards on stage at 187. We get out of the spotlight. We leave it to the millennials, to the Gen Zs. Number 2,
what about Gen X?
They're in their 50s now, and they are looked at kind of the way boomers are. We don't offer our opinions unless asked. We don't say, in my day, we just don't. And we become third trenchers. Now, this goes back to the World War I stuff. In World War I, you had 3 trenches. The one where they went over the top, the second one with the reserves, but the third trench was food, medic, supplies. To be a third trencher means that if your community runs a food drive for the homeless, you as an elder pack the lunches, do the dishes. You allow the millennials and the Gen Zs to plan it, to do the social media, to get the publicity and get the kudos. You already did that. Now it's their turn. Make their mark on the world. If more boomers did that, there would not be as much headbutting as there is now. We're all in this together, guys.
Yeah.
All in this together.
Yeah. And that's definitely something that's going on right now. There's definitely, something that I guess kind of needs to be addressed. Generations, as I was growing up, generations were something that were used to kind of mark time. more so than, and now it's whole kind of ideology and, well, I guess, inheriting what's been inherited has, created a little bit more struggle with that, I think. So,
Very much. Very much.
Keisha has a question. Have you experienced brain fog in getting to what is next in your path and helping others or hearing spirit? And if so, what helped you clear it? That.
Keish, darling, you are making me laugh. Part of it, last year was brain fog because it was a 9-year. Our lives go in 9-year cycles, and a 9-year is the celestial garage sale where you get rid of everything in your life that's busted that you'll never fix, outgrown, was never you in the first place. Bad dogs, bad haircuts, bad jobs, goodbye. I am changing. I'm in a 1 year now, and I'm changing. How I'm going to do things is changing. Where I do my business, God, that makes me sound like a puppy. Do your business. How I construct my business is changing. I'm changing. I don't have the stamina I used to. It's one of the reasons I don't do 45 weekends a year on the road anymore. I
that's a
had
lot.
a back injury in 19. Herniated disc and pinched nerve. I can't do the drive. I can't do the loading. So, and sometimes, yes, I do get brain fog, and the brain fog is from surgical menopause because I had my double mastectomy, my ovaries out when I was 49. And they wouldn't let me do, and I am one of those lucky people that I still have every symptom from menopause. Hot flashes, insomnia, brain fog, you name it. And because it was my third bout of breast cancer, second primary, turned the clock back to 0. They wouldn't let me take or do anything. The only thing they would offer me was an antidepressant. I'm sorry, no.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that would do to my gift. So I have white-knuckled through life since then.
Wow.
But when I have brain fog, I allow myself to have the brain fog. I rest. I cuddle my cat. I have an extra cup of coffee. I do.
Yeah.
And I remind myself I'm not 25 anymore. Yes, some names slip, but it doesn't mean I have dementia. Yes, I forgot what I was supposed to get at the store, but 20 minutes later, when I think about it, I can see the list and I can pull it out. It's not that I forgot I even made a list. Aging is not too weak. Brain fog is part of it. You've got to forgive yourself for being human. Make a bunch of notes. Rest. Listen to binaural beats. I'm very lucky. We have a tiny little bungalow in the middle of a 12-acre hayfield in the northern Catskill Mountains where my neighbors are sheep. I just go out and I sit and I listen to our ravens and our crows and I breathe. Because part of the reason we have brain fog is because it has no rest. Before 1980, you worked 5 days a week and then you went home. The boss could not call you on the weekend or expect you to work late or say, you're a manager, you have to work 90 hours a week and no, you don't get the pay. Now, everything is a 24/7 scream. And so you have to find ways to give yourself time. I have 1 day a week. I don't care if you're dying, kid. I'll send you another psychic. That's Wednesdays. Wednesday is for me. And so that's how you deal with brain fog. You love yourself through it. You forgive yourself for being human. And you find gentle ways to help the fog lift. Not so you can do more work, but so you can see the work.
Yes. Not so you can do more work. I love that. I need to have it tattooed on my hands. There
is something I want to send everybody to my YouTube It's Corbie Mitleid. You can listen. There's something called spiritual time management. You can either just do the audio, which you'll see on the Psychic Yellow Brick Road, that's the podcast, or you can look for the video that I made for you. Spiritual time management. That's going to help you with the brain fog.
Which that is pinned up at the top, but I'm going to put it in the chat right now too. Oh, there we go. We doubled it up. So you got 3 options to click on the YouTube right now. Yeah, working from home means you're always on the job. Yeah.
But working from home means you can step outside of the hayfield. You can schnoodle the cat.
Yeah.
Funny thing is, when I was 40 and I was working for a law firm, I wrote down everything I wanted in a job, and I didn't know if I'd ever get it. And one of the things I wanted was I work in an office with a friendly resident cat. Boy, baby, do I ever.
Yeah. A few of them.
Yes. Yes.
Looks like Lunar also has a 1 day a week for me. Yes, I'm liking this 1 day a week for ourselves.
Cool.
Well, it's one of those things. It's kind of like one of those things, going back to one of the conversations we were having, where we talked about, you were talking about 9/11 and kind of like this thing that happens again during COVID, where I think there was an adjustment in culture, an adjustment in society of people realizing what's important to them. Like, you live your life, you do these things, and then all of a sudden everyone was given a moment,
Was it horrible that we lost 500,000 people in America? 1 million people? Yes, it was horrible.
Yeah.
But look what came out of it.
Yeah. So many people stopped. They had a chance to stop and think and do and find out that the things they were doing wasn't what they wanted to do anymore.
That's right.
And so many people are doing what they feel like they should be doing instead. Yeah.
I actually had a conversation about that today. One of my coworkers asked me, they said, when is this going to end? When is all this stuff that happened from COVID going to go away? And I was like, it's not, it's not going to.
This is the new normal, people.
This is a new world. And we have to learn how to navigate it. Just like I think many people thought the same thing after 9/11. Like, when is the world going to go back to the way it was before? Well, it never really did. So if you're sitting around waiting for 2018 to come in again, or 1998 to come again, you're going to be waiting for a long time.
I compare it with 1913. The world was a certain way in 1913. And then in 1914, you had World War I, which ended in 1918, but the world was forever changed.
Absolutely.
Same thing with COVID. Same thing with 9/11.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have those moments that have marked time. Pearl Harbor, all those things. You don't go back. It's a progressing world. Yeah. We have another question from CMC here. How has social media changed spiritual practices from your point of view, Corbie?
Good and bad. It distracts us. It does. We have to choose what we let in. I love that I've done 400 podcasts in 10 years. Because I could talk about mashed potato recipes if you want me to. As you can see, I have not stopped in 2 hours. This is easy. On the other hand, the idea that to do my business, I have to do Instagram, YouTube, Medium, LinkedIn. I have not done TikTok and won't, because that's where a lot of what I call the bottom feeders are. The people who want to do one card and cheat you. You don't get the time to recoup. I've had to accept that my high profile may be fading a little bit now. My social media skills were with, Blu-ray discs. What I mean by that is I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah.
And I'm not keeping up. And I have to tell myself, darling, you're 69 years old. It's okay. That's more of the elder thing. So I would say be judicious about how you use it. Don't believe everything you read. Don't hang out with people that you disagree with. You can listen to them to learn a little, but please don't waste your time trying to convince them that you are right and they are wrong, because flaming is one of the worst things that's going on in social media. People are cruel. They don't hear the nuance in a voice, so they take things wrong. So if you're going to do spiritual practice, be very, very careful about who you practice with or who you practice around. Discriminate. Be judicious.
Good advice. Good advice. Yeah, we all kind of cringe at the TikTok, I think. I know I do. I'm like, oh, I joined TikTok. Yeah.
Well, and that's part of the things with social media too, is not just that you have to be on Instagram and Facebook and TikTok and YouTube and all these things, but then the algorithms are built in for like frequency of engagement. So, it's something that you have to be doing consistently. Like social media is a full-time job.
Yeah.
And it means putting yourself out to be judged 24 hours a day.
On 10 different platforms.
But I know that what I wrote is good, but it gets 72 thumbs down on Reddit and you tear it up. No, you don't. It's not your audience.
Yeah. Yep.
You have to have self-confidence. Not, I'm never wrong, but I know who I am and I know what matters. And I'll give you my 2 magic phrases. When someone keeps hammering at you, trying to tell you that you're wrong and you should believe what they do. Thank you for sharing. You may think that if you wish, and then you go do what you need to do.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing about the spiritual realms to me, is that every person experiences it differently, and everybody's journey is an individual journey. So if we all do things a little bit differently from each other, or we believe different things, then there's nothing wrong with that. Like, that's the way to me, it should be that way.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We shouldn't all be thinking the exact same thing all the time. Maybe one day when we kind of go back to source, we're all together. Maybe we can do that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right now, let's see if we can figure it out first.
All right, I'm going to put a last call for questions in there. If there's something that you would like to ask our wonderful guest, Corbie, go ahead and throw it in chat, and we will get that across. We're coming up to the 10 o'clock hour, and we might cut just a minute or so early because I think we're going to do a couple giveaways. So
we do.
If you're listening to us later over on YouTube or one of our wonderful podcast places over on iHeartRadio or iTunes and all of those things, it's worth coming and checking out over on YouTube or Twitch to watch the show live, because sometimes from time to time you can win some free goodies. So we'll work on that in a moment. Did you have anything else you wanted to ask before we wrap up, Jenny?
I think we covered a lot of topics.
We did cover a lot tonight.
We didn't get any mashed potato recipes, but we've talked a lot about a lot of things.
That's in the 3rd hour.
Yeah. And there's more, because there's just, in this world there's a ton to dive into, and so I've had a great time talking with you tonight, Corbie. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much.
So I love these kind of free-for-alls. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Yes,
excellent.
We're happy to have you.
All right, so for our YouTube friends and all of our friends who are in Twitch with us, we are going to keep going for a little bit longer. But for everyone else who's listening at all those places that I mentioned before, thank you so much for tuning in. And We appreciate you. Hope you have a wonderful week. We will see you all next time. And for everyone who's still hanging out here, we are going to do some giveaways. So I have one thing to give away for the witching hours tonight, which is a hat. I can show you the hat. And then we will send it in the mail.
Hat.
Do you know how we're going to give it away, Jenny? Do you have anything set up?
I
for a
can.
giveaway?
I have the wheel of names ready.
Okay, we have the wheel of names.
To enter names.
All right, this is the hat. We have the witching hours in an army camo with the green logo.
And if your head is gigantic like Frosty's, do not put in for for winning it because it won't fit you. You got a normal size head. It's gonna be okay.
So anyone is free to enter. We have two on the store. One is just black and one is the camo. So what do we want to type if you want it?
Give away. Let me know.
You got the camo one to give away. Yeah.
Type it. Say me. I want it. Luce already said I need it! Exclamation point. So let me know you'd like to be entered, and I will put your name in the wheel of names. I think I can share the screen. I haven't done that on here yet, but we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
A signed pic of Frosty's head. That would be hilarious. Maybe we might be able to send that in the box. I bet we can fit it in there. Okay.
Better than a pic of Frosty's signed head. That would be.
Yeah. Well, I got plenty of room to write on it. So.
CMC. All right. Who else? Who else would like to get this hat? Now, remember, it's better if you live in the continental United States. Sorry, Luna. Luna's, but I sent Luna something in the mail the other day. She gets to get a postcard from me because I can afford the $1.25 stamp to get to Italy. I can't afford the hat box. Anybody else? I got Fantasy, Luce, and CMC. Who else would like to try to win this hat? Anybody want the camo hat? I know, Luna. I'm just messing with you. I always feel bad when I can't send stuff overseas because it costs too freaking much money. It's just terrible.
It's amazing. Yeah.
But that postcard's in the mail. It's coming your way. All right, let's see if I can share the screen. Present, share screen. Yes, share screen.
Yeah, you can actually pick the tab with this program.
Wheel of names. There it is. Woo! I got it to work.
All right, let's spin it.
All right. Anybody else? Last call for the hat. Let's shuffle it. Okay, here comes our wheel of weirdos. Who's getting the hat?
This is such fun.
Luce.
Oh, that was a close one.
Oh, I thought it was good. I was like, oh, I said it too soon. It's Luce. Luce has got the hat.
All right, Luce, we'll have it off in the mail this weekend.
Yes.
This weekend we'll have it off to you.
Luce is always winning all the witching hours merch.
Who gets it, Luce? Does Luce get it or does Lars get it? That's the question.
So we have another thing to give away. Corbie, what would you like to give away?
All right, I'm going to give away one of my books, and you get to choose. You can do Clean Out Your Life Closet, Clarity, Adaptability, Simplicity, and Making Friends with Stress. You can do The Psychic Yellow Brick Road, Psychic Guidance is Art, Don't Settle for a Forgery. And if you're doing what we're doing, you want everything I learned in 18 years of On the Road, you've got The Magic Who Needs a Genie. And because I also have it in digital form, Miss Italy can put her name in if she wants to.
There you go.
But if you're in the continental United States, you get it mailed. You get a hard copy.
Yes. There you go. Okay, who would like to win one of Corbie's books? Y'all better be putting your names in there. All right, Keisha.
Oh, we got Keisha. We got Lunar Paloma. We have Fantasy Animal Vegan. We have
Allison.
CMC. Priestess. Myceles Luna.
Lou said I already have them.
Lose all three?
Did
You're
you get them all
kidding.
already? Got one in the Amazon cart. They must
That's why
have
you
loved
get to
you,
choose.
Corbie. All right, who else?
Anybody
Who else?
else?
Lunar, I got you. I did not get Luna, though. Okay. Loose equals overachiever. All right, we got Keisha, Lunar, Fantasy, Allison, CMC. Oh, I accidentally put Allison in there twice because I put Allison and then Priestess. It's the same person. And CMC and Luna. All right, let's share the screen again. Anybody else? Did I miss anybody, Frosty?
No, I think if well, we just read them off. So if you were missing, let us know in chat real quick before we spin it. But I think we have everyone in there.
Keisha, Lunar, Fantasy, Allison, CMC, Luna. Now
Okay.
you wish we had the worm wheel. And she's got her jiggly worm butt emotes going. All right, last
There we
call.
go.
Last call for the book.
All right. Let's
Okay.
spin it.
Hello, Woo Writers. Welcome in on the YouTube. You're over there on the YouTube. Hello, hello. All right, we're going to spin this. You caught your first live. Yay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
All right, who we got?
It's going to be Priestess of Wonderland, Allison.
There we go.
Allison has won a
Congratulations.
book.
Okay. Allison, this is what you're going to do. You are going to drop me a note, Corbie at CorbieMitleid.com. And you're going to tell me which book you'd like. And if you're in the continental United States and you would like it in the paperback form, you will give me your address to send it to.
There you go. Allison, did you get
Excellent.
that? Did you get it? Did you get it? Congratulations, Allison and Luce, for your wins this evening.
Yes, congratulations. We'll do some more giveaways here soon. We got all new merch up on the store. Most people don't want army hats, but we'll give away something. We got some great shirts up there that Keisha designed, the Loyal to the Foil.
Yes.
We have some Want to Get Weird shirts. We got some good stuff. So we'll be doing some giveaways again here soon. So thank you everyone for coming and hanging out tonight. As always, you guys are so appreciated. We love all of you. And real quick, we'll be back next Thursday with Mike Cleland. We're going to talk about owls and synchronicities with owls, the connection between that and UFOs. So we have a lot going on there. We're going to have the Tuesday show. After that, we're going to have a rare Tuesday show. We're going to have Allie Cardinale on.
Woo,
so we'll
our
be
fellow
talking
Twitch person. So excited.
Talk about witch doctors and things like that. And then we're going to have Michelle Ferguson on the 30th to talk about the Akashic Records. So we're going to have a full show there.
We can talk about past life stuff forever.
Yeah. We'll have a lot of fun stuff to talk about. Thank you guys so much. Once again, Corbie, thank you for coming on. Loved having you on. I would love to talk to you again, hopefully.
And Keisha wants to know when you're coming back already.
Keisha, my darling, I got a lot on my plate. So when it's right, it'll be.
Yep.
That's right. Yep. Divine timing.
Sounds wonderful. For sure. All right, everyone. Take care, and we'll see you all next time. Bye, everybody.